Good morning. For those who don't know me, my name is Nicky and I'm an author of dark psychological thrillers. So, as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to write. It's something that I always thought once I retire, I'll slow down and I'll be able to focus properly on what I want to do. Luckily for me, I was able to sell my business back in 2016, and since then, I have been focusing on just dabbling with different genres, trying to find my niche, trying to find my voice, so to speak. And in 2022, I was lucky enough to be published with my debut novel, To the Bitter End, which told a very harrowing story of a young man whose life was turned completely upside down. It went from quite normal to actually quite seriously nasty things going on. From that novel, my mindset completely shifted, and I thought, how about telling the story directly from those damaged minds, serial killers, people who are completely and utterly damaged beyond belief through mental illness and challenges that they face every day. I wanted to change the status quo. I wanted to do something that writers don't do very often, and that is write from the mindset of the antagonist. The people who are usually the ones that in the beginning of the book you see something really nasty that they do. The protagonist then follows the story through to the end, finds out who the antagonist was, and that concludes the whole book. Whereas I wanted to actually focus my storytelling on the mind of the actual antagonists themselves. So my second novel, Green Monsters, did just that. And the main character, her name was Stacey Adams, and she was a complete and utter psychopathic, deranged narcissist. She was totally crazy and probably one of the most fun characters that I think I've ever had the pleasure of writing. It completely shifted how I write. It changed my writing style so dramatically that now I look back at my debut novel and I could write it 10 times over. It was just so different to how my style now is, which is really good. It's fantastic that it feels like I actually have found my niche. Green Monsters actually has a quite a dark, harrowing story of a young woman. It's called Green Monsters because she's very jealous of everything, not just her sister who becomes her main target, but she's jealous of everyone else's life. She feels like everything in her own life is not good enough. She's constantly hankering after things she can't have, things that she feels that she deserves, and the whole story from start to finish just takes her from what you think is, someone that you feel quite sorry for, to someone that you actually feel quite empathetic for. At the end, you feel sorry for her choices as well as her as an actual person, although she turns into a killer. No, don't want to do any spoilers or anything, but she is completely psychopathic. It ends on not a cliffhanger, I would say, but it needed a second novel to kind of take her story to that next level. So I then from there wrote Black Widow, and Green Monsters and Black Widow became the perfect duology, where Black Widow sees Stacey's life as it continued after the carnage and the chaos she caused from the first novel. So at the end, it almost completely just ties the whole thing up. So you're either left wanting a third book, or you're just left smiling, thinking, yes, of course, this is Stacey. She's never going to change. And so far, I've had some really great feedback from that. I think for me as a writer, one of the most fundamentally important things that I've actually done is begin a new series called the Flanigan Files. It follows both the path of the main character, Newton Flanigan, who's a clinical psychologist who works with the police, and also the characters who he deals with. So the antagonists, the serial killers, the murderers, the damaged people that have some very serious issues that Newton helps them with. It tells this story from a completely different aspect, right from the very beginning of every novel. You already know who the killer is because every scene will always start with the antagonist, aka the killer, the person who will go on to become the killer, and the entire novel then takes that story as you know who's doing it, but you are now being told why they're doing it. And the premise of the Flanigan Files is to actually show readers a different side of normality, a different side of what they feel that they want when they're reading a novel. Unfortunately, we live in a world where we don't always understand motives of antagonists, the people we walk past in the street. We don't know their story. We don't know the kind of lives they're living, their backgrounds, the things they've been through. And in a challenging world where we can be almost quite judgmental, I actually wanted to write something that readers could pick up a story and read about a serial killer, someone who, you know, could kill 10, 20 people. And at the end of the book, you actually feel like you understand them, not feel like they've done a good thing, obviously, but you actually know why and what pushes them to go to that extremes. Of course, I'm not saying that every complete and utter serial killer out there has good motives, because they really don't. And I'm not always going to be telling stories that gives good motives, but they will always be motives that come from the head and the heart of that character, so that the reader will really understand. It's all about trying to find something in a world where we just don't seem to understand each other anymore. We don't know each other, even the friends and family that we feel that we've got. A lot of the time we don't see what's going on inside someone else's head. Even the people we live with, sometimes you just don't know what is inside their thoughts. So my writing is a way for me to actually connect those dots and actually help readers to actually understand what's going on. And hopefully my first novel, hopefully it's doing well. It came out in September as a hard book, 2023, and it's now also in paperback. It's called Beyond the Veil, and it tells a very harrowing story of a serial killer who suffers with DID, which is dissociative identity disorder, but he has secrets that Newton Flanigan uncovers throughout the book. So you're following his story and his life, as well as the people he's working with. And I honestly, I'm so excited for this new series. I feel that it's going to be something really special, and I hope that I can take my personal journey as a writer to the next level and offer something that hasn't been done at all. I've never seen it. And when people do write about antagonists, they tend to just write about what they do rather than who they are. So I'm very excited. The second novel is called The Lost Raven, which will be coming out in September. And again, that follows Newton Flanigan's story, following a case that he's dealing with. This time it's a young female, but I'm not going to give any spoilers away on that, because you'll have to read the information coming up. Hopefully in the spring we'll start advertising that. At the moment I'm also currently working on the third instalment for the Flanigan Files, which is called Through Broken Glass, which this one will be coming out in 2025. So again, it's all very cloak and dagger. But I've got around 23 different novels ready to start getting plotted and working on over the next few years. So there's lots of material there for me, so watch this space. So I have published 5 novels, or as of tomorrow I will have published 5 novels. My next novel is called Darkridge Hollow, and it is a standalone novel set in Ohio, in a forgotten town, very small forgotten town, literally in the middle of nowhere. It takes the main character on a very harrowing journey. He becomes a victim of some very sick things throughout the book, and there's lots of twists and turns. It's very fast paced. It almost gave me whiplash reading it back, to be honest with you, so I'm very excited about that. It will be my last standalone novel for a while, because I will be, as of from now, I'll be focusing more on the Flanigan Files. I want to become known as the Flanigan File author, so I'm very excited to see where that goes. But yes, watch this space. I will always be coming up with new things, and yeah, never say never. I'll probably throw in the odd standalone thriller here and there, so that'd be really interesting to see how that one pans out. You've probably gathered by now, I'm actually quite fascinated by the human mind, everything we are, everything we do. I'm qualified in psychology, counselling, and life coaching. So my background is quite prolific, dealing with people who have some kind of trauma. I don't know what that says about me, I really don't. In order to build a profile and a back catalogue of my work, I have been publishing 2 novels per year for the last couple of years. So since 2022, 23 and this year, there'll be 2 novel releases both in March and in September. However, moving forward, I will just be doing 1 title per year. So for all of those readers out there that can't keep up with the sheer volume of books that I seem to be putting out, I do apologise for that. And as of next year, it'll be 1 title. September will be the hardback, and then the following March will be the paperback of the same title. So I will obviously have a lot more time to market each novel, and at the same time I will then have a nice little back catalogue of books that I've written. In 2027, hopefully, we will be doing an anniversary edition of my debut. So that is something that we are thinking of doing. So there's nothing set in stone yet for that. I've not even looked at it. I've not even thought about how to do that yet. But hopefully that will mark a nice 5-year milestone for my writing career moving forward. So when it comes to building a social media presence, I do get asked a lot, how have I managed to build my Twitter following to such a high level in such a short time? And the short answer is I have no idea. The long answer, I would say, from running my own businesses and from dealing with buyers specifically, one of the key things that I have learned is that try never to sell a product, sell you, sell who you are as a person. The more authentic and real you can be, the more people like who you are. If you're just constantly sitting there every day, just trying to plug your books, trying to make those sales, posting pictures and pretty little videos, which I do as well, to be honest with you. You're always going to be chasing your tail, basically. So the key thing is to post things that people want to read about or see. So, for instance, I tend to ask writing questions on my Twitter account, and I do that specifically because I'm a writer, but it helps me then connect with other writers who might have questions of their own. They might not always know how to reach out and ask for advice, for instance. So my threads tend to be lots of people connecting and asking and answering the questions that I post, in order for everyone to just basically follow the same journey. The more you do that, the easier it is for people to want to follow you, then you follow them back, and it just grows from there. Instagram, however, is a different story. No matter how many people I connect with and follow, I get more unfollows than follows, so it must just be a pretty little video platform. So hopefully I'm going to be hopefully trying to work on that side of things as well in 2024. Speaking of which, I now have a YouTube channel, so that's something that I've been working on over the Christmas holiday. So I'll be hopefully posting short videos and little snippets of my books, information about psychology, the damaged mind, short videos, long videos, hopefully a podcast coming as well. So it's all very exciting stuff. Hopefully, if we keep going the way we're going, I'll have lots of people who'll be able to follow and connect with everything that I do, and I'll be in turn then able to promote their books as well. That's the plan. It's all about networking and being in the same in the same race. Really, we're all in it together.